welcome. Thank you for coming today on this gorgeous sun splash day. I invite you to uh, rise and join us in singing God Bless America. Do we have that ready to roll?
Okay, when the proclamations go up, I've got binder clips to put them on the easels.
Madison doesn't want to present it. Madison doesn't want to present. We should. Yeah, but it'll stay.
Yeah, that's why I brought the binder clips. So much dope. So, just when this last meeting, I'm gonna leave my phone up at the podium.
Yeah.
So I totally forgot that my
Yeah.
sweat stain is on the back.
Sure.
Yeah. Hers is the blue one, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I just went. Okay. Oh my god, this is the extended cut? Okay, great. Glad we went for the extended cut.
We got to sweat it out.
Woo! Killing.
Should I put
Killing
this
it.
jacket on?
Good God, no, you're gonna die. I need. I didn't set the ribbon up, but I can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all set up, but I just gotta unwind it. Oh my God, I'm dying here.
I am too.
I feel disgusting.
Okay.
Please remain standing and please lift a glass and let's toast to the man who made this all possible, a friend to the CCI, Mr. Russell J. Salvatore. Salud.
You need a bottle? All right.
You're good. All right. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, CCI board members, donors, our neighborhood friends, good afternoon and welcome. My name is John Vecchio and it is my high honor to welcome all of you to our special dedication ceremony. Before we begin, let us give thanks. I'm privileged to introduce Buffalo's most famous and beloved Italian priest. Please welcome my dear friend, Monsignor Dino Lorenzetti, to offer the blessing. Monsignor?
Well, God bless all of you beautiful people of this community on this day of grace. Our gathering here this afternoon is to bless this courtyard, which has been made possible through the most generous contributions of Russell Salvatore. I have known Russ since my childhood days and have always respected his ever-willing goodness to give of himself for the community. God has blessed his works, and he certainly in return has been most charitable in giving to others the gifts he has received. Russ, in my mind, is a man of integrity who keeps striving for perfection in all that he does and has made it his goal to be friendly to everyone. In this blessing of his courtyard, we ask the good Lord to protect those who come to enjoy what it has to offer, and that they return home refreshed and renewed in spirit. In your name, O Lord, fill our hearts with your love. Fill our days with your peace. and in your grace, give us the wisdom and the strength to do our best for your greater honor and glory. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor Dino Lorenzetti. I don't think it's a secret that not only is he one of the most beloved priests, but at turning 101 this past July, he's probably one of the longest living Italian priests. What do you think of that?
If I ever have a fan club, I'll make it.
He just made me the president of his fan club. Thank you. Thank you, Monsignor. Well, a project of this magnitude is the product of profound faith and determination. It's a monument to the hands, hearts, and minds of so many generous and caring individuals. Russ insisted that we recognize these individuals who collaborated to make this possible. I now ask our Deputy Director, Lindsay Lauren-Visser, to honor Mr. Salvatore's request and acknowledge those generous people. Lindsay?
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for being here today on this very warm and beautiful day. As it seems with every undertaking of the CCI, we were overwhelmed by the support and generosity of our community of members and donors. I will never forget the day that Dan and I walked these grounds for the first time. The construction on the building was nearing completion, and the weather was finally nice enough to walk beyond the plywood sheets that connected the parking lot to the front door. I won't regale you with what we found on our walk, but I'm sure anybody who drove past this corner before we took on this project can use their imagination. It really seemed like this was going to be a much larger project than either of us realized. But we've yet to encounter a project too big or too daunting for our generous, supportive, and determined CCI community. Almost immediately, people began coming forward asking how they could help. Mario Avarello was amongst the first who saw the potential of this space. Not only did he volunteer his resources and support from United Materials, he called in a rather large family favor. It turned out Mario's cousins in Sicily owned Gattuso Piccone Stucci. While you may not know that name, you certainly know their work. They are the company that built the statuary for the Bellagio and the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Yes, Sal and Joe, our beautiful guardian lions, are the cousins of the MGM Lions. They were generously sponsored and named by Francis Litro and Cindy Abbott. Anthony Piccone Sr., who had already gone above and beyond on the millwork inside of our building, again answered the call and undertook the literally monumental task of assembling our fountains, benches, light posts, and decorative elements. Anthony Piccone Jr. was here with their crews almost every day, ensuring that everything would be complete by a rapidly approaching deadline. As usual, Sal Chandra got a phone call, the kind that he loved so much, and as usual, Sal responded with a level of generosity that continues to blow us away. We added wiring and connecting all of the light posts to the already incredibly long list of things Fry Electric has done to make this facility beautiful. Words cannot express how grateful we are and how much we love you, so please remember that the next time your phone rings and it's the CCI. Uniting all these wonderful people was our own Dan Vecchio. In addition to the many hats Dan wears on a daily basis, he took point on this courtyard project. From painstakingly measuring and laying out the placement of each piece to literally crawling through the conduit trenches, Dan's blood, sweat, and occasional tears made this project possible. Joining Dan in those conduit trenches was our own Rob DeGarry. Chiseling concrete and digging for electrical boxes was not in his original job description, but I'm glad he hasn't held that against us. We are so glad to have Rob and Dan on our team, and working with them every day is a blessing and a privilege. Yes, they definitely deserve several rounds of applause.
Absolutely.
I would also like to recognize Jeff Ricken and his team from Ricken Landscaping. The difference sod makes is genuinely unbelievable, and their landscaping efforts complete the beauty of our courtyard. Western New York Asset Management and our board member, Rob Castiglione, sponsored our beautiful regulation bocce court, and Dr. Jan and Althena Polina sponsored our community garden. I'd also like to thank Ugo and Judy Del Sorbo for diligently and lovingly taking care of the garden and grounds. Finally, I would like to thank all of those in our community who bought memorial pavers. Not only are they a lasting tribute to those we love, but they anchor our courtyard in what truly matters, our heritage and the legacy of all those who came before us. I look forward to the many opportunities this new courtyard provides. The CCI continues to offer a robust calendar of programs, and this courtyard will allow us to offer even more. From concerts to bocce tournaments and everything in between, we are so grateful to have the Russell J. Salvatore Courtyard, and I look forward to welcoming you all back here for programs and events in the very near future.
Okay. Very nicely done. Thank you, Lindsay Lauren. Appreciate that. I also wanted to mention that programming was helped immeasurably this past year by a generous grant from the John R. O'Shea Foundation, and the program coordinator for our grant, Esther Anan, is here. And Esther, would you stand and just take a quick bow? We appreciate your investment in our center. Thank you. Grazie. I now invite our board president, Mario Jacoby, to make a few remarks. Mario?
Thank you, John. I'd like to welcome everybody here to the beautiful Centro Culturale Italiano on this wonderful occasion and this beautiful day to honor a great man, that being Russell Salvatore. It's been a few of these dedications now that I've gone to, and I always try to do two things. I always try to look back at what we've been able to accomplish from a very small center over on Hurdle that my mother was very fond of, as well as my dad, to what we've become. And the two things that I always try to look at is how the center has developed and who has been influential in doing that. And whenever we honor somebody such as Russell, you know, what kind of bond the center, in particular my father, may have had with this individual. So if you just give me a moment here, I'd like to outline a couple things. Back in 2018, when we were trying to find somebody to help us out with a capital campaign, at the time, one of our board members, Donato Curcio, invited an individual to one of our board meetings. And I'll never forget this night, because as I walked in for the board meeting, I ran into Donato, and he said, "We have a speaker here today that's going to take your father's vision to another level." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yes. He's going to help out with the capital campaign and raise the money that we need and be the voice for your father because he can't do this all by himself." And I said, "Well, it's a good point. You're right. My father cannot do this, and we need some assistance." And a gentleman walked in that door and spoke for about a half hour. And after that meeting, I think it might have been either myself and Rocco Termini or myself and maybe Mayor Masiello, who's also on our board, we looked at Donato and said, "This is the guy that we need to carry us forward. This is the guy that we need that is going to help us with our vision." And that guy, who does not get enough credit, is our executive director, John Vecchio.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Everything that you see here is as a direct result of John and his team. Lindsay, Dan, Tony DeLeo, all the volunteers, Rob. all of those individuals have made this a reality. And as a result of me having conversations with John and trying to get on board with him with this capital campaign that he was enlightening me with, he mentioned a couple names. And one of those names was Russell Salvatore, who I knew, but I didn't really know well. But I knew him well enough. And I also knew that my father knew him, but maybe didn't know him as well either. But he was early on also a contributor to the Cultural Center, going back to 2013, when my mom was still around. People don't know that Russell was already on the forefront of helping our organization out. But I think John wanted to take it to another level with Russell. And so I had these conversations with John about individuals that would help us out, and we were happy to bring them on board. And then shortly after that, I had several conversations with my father about, people that could help us out. And one morning, like I always do every morning, I called my dad, to see how he's doing. And I asked, how you doing? What's going on? It's early in the morning, middle of the week. And he said, I'm doing great. I'm on my way to Salvatore's. And I say, oh, okay. I go, is John with you? He's like, no, John's not with me. I'm like, all right, well, why are you going to Salvatore's? He said, well, I'm bringing them bread. And I said, okay. I go, thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to ask the next question, because you always want to know the answer when you ask a question, okay? Especially me as a lawyer, that's the way I've been trained. You never ask a question that you don't know the answer to. It's, Judge Fiorella's here, Sheila DeTullio's here, they'll tell you, you got to know the answer to the question. But I was so curious that I couldn't resist asking my father, why are you bringing Russell Salvatore bread? So I asked, I go, Dad, why are you bringing him bread? And he answered the question on the phone, and I can picture his face as he's saying it to me, because I can't see him, because he's driving to Salvatore's. And he says, Mario, everybody appreciates bread. So there you go. You ask a stupid question, that's the response you get. And I know that many, many times, my father has gone to Salvatore's with John Vecchio bringing bread. I can't tell you how many times he's brought bread. And I believe, they may tell you something different, but I believe that it's that bond, that friendship, that simple relationship that has brought them together as friends. So I can't pick a better person for this occasion to speak on behalf of the Cultural Center, to really the true president of the Cultural Center to this day, and will forever be in my mind, and that's my father. So I'd like to invite him up to say a few words on behalf of our honoree, Russell Salvatore.
Hey, Doctor.
Russell, Mayor Masiello, Fiorella,
You have to speak in the microphone.
many people here that are illustrious, famous, important to me, and I want to thank you all for coming. As I was coming to the place, it reminds me of the important exam I had to do when I was in medical school. And what comes to my mind is, mi scappa la pipì, Papa. I need to go to the bathroom. It's an urgency. I want to thank you all for coming. Yes, Miss Kampala BB. Thank you much for coming. I don't have anything else to add. I just want to say thank you, God, for making this happen.
Our board president emeritus, our founder, Dr. Francesco Jacoby. Wow, what passion. Just amazing. Thank you. And thank you, Mario, for setting the stage and your kind words. When I first met Council Member Joel Fiorella, he made it clear that we needed to put our words into action. I'm pleased that he believed in our ability to follow through, even though we had a few doubts. Please welcome Delaware District Council Member Joel Fiorella to confer Mr. Salvatore with a special proclamation. Joel?
And for the record, I did not have any doubts that you would pull this off, and it's just so wonderful to be here, and it's so incredible to look around and see so many people that put their heart and their pocketbook and the resources into making this so beautiful. If you think about what this looked like 1 year ago and to what it looks like now, it's just absolutely incredible. So thank everyone for all of the hard work they put into this. And now we're going to recognize Mr. Salvatore and the Courtyard. I have a proclamation. This is from myself on the City Council. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but just to highlight a few of the items on this. As everyone here knows, this was the North Park Library branch, and it had long served as a community anchor, providing residents in the neighborhood with a safe, welcoming, educational gathering space. When it closed in 2008, it created a hole in the fabric of our community and left a dangerous eyesore right here on one of the most prominent corners in North Buffalo. The CCI recognized the importance of this location to North Buffalo and the Italian-American community and asked local Italians to help convert this to the Italian Cultural Center. Russell Salvatore answered that call and championed the revitalization of this courtyard. Mr. Salvatore's vision, financial support, and enthusiasm converted this once eyesore and dilapidated grounds into a community asset where families and individuals can gather for events, programs, socialize, or to play bocce. This courtyard will serve as a community anchor and gathering space for learning, for Italian culture and traditions. Now, therefore, I proclaim that the City of Buffalo and the Common Council recognizes August 6, 2022 as Russell Salvatore Day and celebrates the completion of the courtyard. Thank you.
All right.
There you go, Russell.
Beautiful. Congratulations, Russ, and thank you, Joel, Councilman Joel Fiorella. Wow, that was quite a proclamation. I also want to mention that Erie County Legislator Lisa Chimera, who's been very generous to us, could not be with us today, but she wisely sent her legislative assistant, Madison Mark, to also present a proclamation to Mr. Salvatore. And Russ, I have it here, and I will present it to you after this program, okay? Thank you to Lisa Chimera. A hand for Lisa Chimera. Thank you so much. And thank you, Madison. I now invite the tallest person on stage. No, not you, Lindsay. Please welcome our campaign chair, former mayor, a dear friend, our leader, the Honorable Anthony Masiello.
Thank you very much, John. Monsignor, ladies and gentlemen, let me preface my remarks. I know we recognized a lot of people here today who were instrumental in bringing this fruition of a dream of Dr. Jacoby but one person who really, I think, brought this to where we are today, from a vacant, abandoned building that was an eyesore in our community to a beautiful edifice of recognizing Italian Americans, and that's Rocco Termini right here.
Rocco!
We needed, I can assure you, all of you, we needed a pit bull to make sure this came to fruition, and nobody is more tougher on all of us than Rocco Termini. And I want to thank Rocco for putting people together, the contractors, the developers, the landscapers, everybody who had an expertise to make this happen. Thank you, Rocco Termini. It was important. I'm very big on trying to explain again and understanding where we were and where we are today. And it was only 6 years ago that Dr. Jacoby, my neighbor on Pennhurst, knocked on my door with a bottle of wine. Too early to drink it, Mike. But the fact of the matter was, he wanted to have coffee. And he shared with me at that particular point in time a vision, a dream that he and his beautiful wife had for the Italian American community. He believed in his heart that we needed a cultural center that would give young people an opportunity, first and foremost, to learn the Italian language. I think that was of paramount importance to him. But he also wanted a place where we can recognize and understand the tremendous contributions of Italian immigrants to this city and our country, but also Italian Americans who came after them, who I think, and he thinks, made Buffalo what it is today. From the law, to the judiciary, to education, to real estate, to business, to sports, to development, to building, to fine food. Everything in this community has been significantly impacted by Italian Americans who worked hard and gave much to make this city what it is today. And I think today we have an opportunity to recognize one of our best, somebody who puts his heart first in helping to recognize those kinds of tremendous contributions. And why is it important today to recognize Russell Salvatore? To me, there's two things important in life as I age out. Number one, never forget where you came from. And number two, always give something back. To whom much was given, much is expected. And if you look at the legacy of Russell Salvatore, from East Delvin Avenue, learning on the lap of his mother and father in their small tavern and restaurant on East Delvin, to his magnificent edifices of Salvatore's on Transit Road, Russell's on Transit Road, everything he has done with class. He has done with quality. He has given people an opportunity to relax and dine in the finest atmospheres and always paying attention to the smallest details. So it's important that this courtyard reflects that kind of understanding of the Italian American history and legacy. And here again, he's investing so that people understand that going forward. But secondly, giving something back. I mean, who does it better than Russell Salvatore? From what he's done for ECMC and putting TVs, Mike Seaman, in every room in the hospital, by investing in Trocare, Niagara University, and other institutions in this community so people understand the value and the importance of the culinary arts, his time and his money. And now, in culmination of his legacy and his life, his investment here in this center and this courtyard will always give us an understanding and remembrance of a tremendous Italian American who gave much, gave from his heart, and gave selfishly. Russell Salvatore. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. That was beautiful. Mayor Tony Masiello, beautiful words. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. A leader when we needed him, and he's still with us. You know, I'm looking out at the crowd, and believe me, I could be here for another hour talking about all the wonderful people that are part of this process, but there's two people I want to recognize simply because they're firsts, so I'm going to recognize them. The first person I'd like to recognize is Judge Joseph Fiorella, because when we opened our doors on October 13th, he was the very first customer in the place. So Joe, thank you for patronizing us. Thank you. And being so supportive. By the way, it's important to note that Joe Fiorella is the chair of our Building and Grounds Committee. So, when I said, Joe, we got to get this off the ground here and make it work, Joe pulled a committee together, and I'll tell you what, everybody listens when Joe talks. So, Joe, thanks again for everything you've done to make this happen. Joe Fiorella. And the second person I just wanted to acknowledge, because it's true, she was our very first volunteer. She walked into this place when it was still a mess. She put on an apron and said, what can I do? She's still with us. She's right here in front of me. That's Danette Porto. Danette, thank you so much, honey. I appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've noticed that our courtyard looks a little different than it did when we bought the property in 2019. Believe me, it wasn't always this pretty. But Russell Salvatore changed all of that. The son of Italian immigrant parents, Russell learned at a young age the importance of hospitality. He learned this from his father, and in his book, Well Done, Russ is quoted as saying, "I've lived my life serving others and seeking the future. Extending a hand is not restricted to an age group. Age is only a number, and time is only a place. This is not the end, but a new beginning. Remember," Russ said, "it costs nothing to be nice." I agree, Russ. I totally agree. So today we dedicate this courtyard to Russell Salvatore, to his vision and legacy of extending hospitality to our community, Italians and non-Italians alike. The courtyard was always a part of the design for the center, but Russell elevated it to something truly special. Our new courtyard space provides so many opportunities for events and programs, and we're excited to welcome the community for concerts, bocce tournaments, and other outdoor activities. Russell, none of this would have been possible without your generosity and unshakable resolve. And Russ, please know how much we at CCI love and value and treasure your friendship. And you're truly a friend to so many in Western New York. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, our hardworking staff, dedicated volunteers, Russell, thank you for being here for us yesterday, today, and always. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating a man for all seasons, Mr. Russell J. Salvatore.
Thank you very much. I didn't expect such a crowd. I feel like an ass, I don't know how to tell them the check is no good. Would I still be as loved as I am now? John, hold on to that check until after the dinner hour tonight, all right? I'm just happy to be here. I didn't expect all this kind of a tribute. As far as the other donors, thank you so much for donating. It made it a little bit easier for me. I love it. I can remember when I first seen the picture that Mayor Masiello and who else you brought up? They showed me a rendering. It was on a Thursday, and I looked at it and I said, "What is this?" He says, "It's the courtyard." I said, "I got a hold of my good friend Don Perino. He made me another rendering. We came over here, showed it to them, and their eyes fell out of their head. And I said, that's what we're going to do for you." And then as we went on, the board members here, Frank is a tough man to work with. I showed him the rendering. I came over here. There must have had about 30, 40 trees in here. And I said, we got to take these trees down. And Frank says, you can't have taken this a bigger tree. It's 250 years old. You just about could open the door. And then I looked at him and I says, does he know what the hell I'm doing? You know, this is no lie, this is true. We came here at night. I got a hold of a crew at 10 o'clock at night. We cut down every tree, cleaned the things. We left all these 6 trees all over here. The next day, I came here, Frank came here. He didn't even know anything happened, for Christ almighty. He says, it looks different, but it looks so nice, you know. And so I really started by doing things the way I do it the Russ way. I do everything you're not supposed to do it. I remember we called the mayor up, and when we put the stone around here, was a Thursday, and the Italian festival was started on Friday, and I didn't like all the weeds in that. I called the mayor up and I says, Mayor, can I put stone all around? He says, well, Russell didn't want, give me till Monday and we'll let you know. I says, Mayor, I started already, for Christ almighty. I said, what do you mean you're going to let me know, you know? And they had it done at 10 o'clock at night, and I tell you, look what it made it look so nice and clean. Other than that, I just want to say thank you so much for the respect that you have given me. I'd expect this kind of a tribute. And if I knew it was going to be like that, I still got some of that bread that Frank gave me in the freezer, for Christ almighty. I would have brought it here, you know. But other than that, I just want to thank you for your respect. I enjoyed doing things for people. I got a foot in the grave, and I will continue doing everything for people where it would help. I want to let you know, we got a lot of sandwiches. We brought 300 sandwiches of peanut butter and jelly, I think it is, you know that. So have lunch on me, have a couple drinks, so forth, and thank you for all your respect, and thank you, board, for the nice things you said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you.
Good job.
Somebody wants to give you a hug. Russell J. Salvatore.
Thank you all, Buffalonians. This place belongs to you. Thank you, thank you.
We are going to have a small ribbon cutting ceremony. So if Russ, Dr. Jacoby, Mario Jacoby, Anthony Picone, Mario Avarello, Sal Chandra, Joel Ferraletto, the Honorable